Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to start those engines. With the Formula 1 2020 season in full swing, fans of the sport have been treated to the next entry in Codemasters gaming series F1 2020. Codemasters have gone all out with this latest entry and revamped many aspects of it to keep the series fresh and fun for F1 and racing fans. Yo, what's going on guys? My name is Doodles. Hopefully you go and enjoy this video today. If you do, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe with those notifications on, and I want to give a huge shout out to Codemasters for sending me a copy of this game early to review for you guys. I've had so much fun playing this game and I cannot wait to share my experiences with you. So yeah, without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the review. So to keep things from going stale, Codemasters made a lot of changes and added lots of new content to keep the series feeling fresh. This includes an all new My Team mode where you'll make up the 11th team on the grid. Think of My Team mode as a cross between a regular career mode like you play in the game also, as well as a sim manager type game, much like FIFA Ultimate Team. You have to build your own team, gain sponsors, take part in events, build your own cars and more. But also while doing that, you've also got to play in the season and try and claim the championship. Now, other features of the game include all the official teams, drivers and circuits from the 2020 Formula 1 World Championship, acclaimed 10-year career mode, Formula 2, the ultimate training ground for F1 is also included, now with the new full or half season options, and 2019 and 2020 season content. There's also X16 classic F1 cars from 1988 to 2010. There's also an esports mode, which is an in-game area for online qualification events, for latest news, and even watch the F1 Esports Challenger and Pro Series races. There are also more ways to race than ever, including time trial mode, Grand Prix mode, championship mode, and you can relive your glory with the savable automated highlights. And once you've dominated the single player, you can also dominate the multiplayer. You can compete in online events, both ranked and unranked. There's leagues, there's customizable libraries, and weekly events. So there's a lot of stuff to do with this game. Now, one of the things I've always liked about racing games are the graphics. Racing games quite often are some of the nicest looking games out there. Take for example Forza Horizon 4, like man, that game looks so good. That game looks better than a lot of AAA games out there. The amount of detail that is in the landscape, especially the landscape, that I've seen pictures of Forza Horizon 4 and I've seen like a real life shot and then an in-game shot. And at times it can be really hard to tell which one is which. And I've also got to say, when it comes to the graphics, F1 2020 certainly doesn't disappoint. The tracks, the cars, the landscape are highly detailed and look pretty realistic. The character models for the players, racers and other people such as the interviewers and the team all look good, especially because this isn't a game that is focusing on the individual characters. They've still put a lot of effort and there's a lot of detail in them, and they do look pretty true to life for a video game. Now, I'm playing the game on PC, so graphics may look a little bit different than if you're playing on console, but with the game running at 60 FPS on max settings, there is nothing to complain about. I won't say it's the most beautiful racing game out there, but it's definitely in the discussion. Because of this, it keeps you very immersed and makes you actually feel like you're racing on Silverstone. Now, the gameplay is pretty much what you would expect from an F1 game. Their variety of cars and all of the tracks that are raced on during the actual F1 season, from Silverstone to Yas Marina, are all there. But what is a track without cars to race on? F1 2020 features all of the cars, teams and drivers from the 2020 Formula 1 World Championship, as well as cars from the 2019 Formula 2 Championship and a host of classic cars from 1988 all the way to 2010. The deluxe edition also comes with 4 cars used by Michael Schumacher, the Benetton B194 and B195, the Jordan 191 and the Ferrari F1 2000, as well as an updated Ferrari F2004. The deluxe edition also comes with Schumacher themed multiplayer car liveries, helmets, race suits and a podium celebration emote. Now personally, as a more casual fan of Formula 1, it's so cool to see Michael Schumacher getting the recognition he deserves. He is without a doubt one of the biggest legends in the sport and pretty much the name that everyone knows. Now when I was a kid, I think I had a Michael Schumacher cap. I maybe even had his aftershave at some point. I know I had some sort of Ferrari aftershave. I think it might have been Schumacher, not entirely sure. But back in the day, especially in the 90s, Michael Schumacher was a name that everyone knew. He was without a doubt a household name, and it's really cool to see him still being honoured in games all these years later. Now when it comes to playing the game, it is everything that I would expect. There are a host of customization options, changing every aspect of the car, both performance and cosmetic. The cars handle very well too, and everything feels incredibly responsive. And although the game definitely caters to the hardcore sim racing fan, they haven't forgotten about the more casual and new players such as myself. There is a casual mode which when switched on, menus will be simplified, off-track surfaces will be easier to drive over, and steering and reset the track assist will become available. Whether you just like to casually watch Formula 1 on a weekend and fancy trying out the game, or you're a sim racing professional, this game caters to everyone. Now without a doubt, I'm a single player kind of guy. I'm not very big on multiplayer games despite the fact that I play a lot of Fortnite. That's pretty much like the only multiplayer game I play, so the single player aspect of any game is where I'm going to spend most of my time, and man, there is a lot of time we spent playing this. The career mode is one of the most thorough I've seen in a racing game, or just a game in general for that matter. Players can create their own racer, join the team for teammate, create the best car possible, and compete in a season up to 22 races long for a full Formula 1 experience. And you can also go for a total of 10 years, so that's 220 races in a career mode. That's a lot of driving. Now that's like up to 220 different races in the career mode, and as you guys know, Formula 1 races aren't short races, so that's many hours spent just in this career mode, not taking into account the My Team mode, which we'll get into a little bit later on. Not many racing games career modes have this level of depth, and it was a surprise to see this much content into the career mode. Being able to determine every aspect of the mode is great. I can create the car that I want on my favourite team and race on every track that the real life professionals race on every week. But perhaps the greatest addition to the game is the all new My Team mode. This mode is essentially like FIFA's Ultimate Team, but it's Formula 1. Players start from scratch as the new kid on the block starting their own racing team. You create your team, you create your car, you choose your engine supplier and teammate, and you become the 11th team in the championship. There's also so much depth to this mode, from choosing the sponsorships for your team, research and developing new car parts to create the best car possible, as well as competing through an entire Formula 1 season for up to 10 years. It is as much a manager sim as it is a racing career mode. Now if you're into all the managing aspects of racing, or you're a fan of Football Manager, FIFA Ultimate Teams, games like that, this will definitely be something that you will enjoy. Now of course, in addition to the career and My Team modes, there's the usual Grand Prix, there's championships and there's time trial modes. There's always something to do in F1 2020 as new challenges become available every day to gain XP and level up your podium pass. We'll get into that one a little bit later on though. Now moving over to the multiplayer aspect, this isn't something that I've spent a ton of time on and not something that I'm overly interested in, being a very casual player of the game. Now I am happy to report that the multiplayer aspect of the game is as thorough as the single player. The online aspect features a variety of different modes, from ranked and unranked modes to weekly events and leagues, where players can compete against each other to become the best of the best. And then for the best of the best and the professional players, there is actually an F1 esports section which will host different series and events. Now as I mentioned, multiplayer isn't my strong suit, not something I'm massively interested in, especially from a casual standpoint, but for the more hardcore fans this is definitely packed full of loads of content and different options for competing against fellow F1 fans. Now earlier I mentioned we we're going to talk about the podium pass, and man, I've got a lot to say about the microtransactions in this game, because if I've got to pick one fault with this game, this is definitely it. Now as you guys know, it has become fairly standard now for games to implement their own form of an item shop and season pass, where players can purchase rotating items from the item shop using real money, as well as the season pass where players can unlock rewards for leveling up and completing challenges. This is also present in F1 2020 and in my opinion is a huge negative against the game. While I don't necessarily have a problem with cosmetic microtransactions in general, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of Fortnite and that's how they make their money, I'm not a fan when it comes to games that are full price AAA games, and especially when they're yearly titles. Now it's never made sense to me why some people spend huge amounts of money on FIFA Ultimate Team only to abandon all of their work and money and start again when the next iteration comes out the following year. Now if this was just a single Formula 1 game, even better if it was free, and it was maintained and updated for many years without a yearly iteration coming out, then of course I'd have no problem with microtransactions. A developer's got to make money somehow. Now obviously I got this game for free, but if I didn't, then I would spend potentially £44.99 on this game, only to spend real money to buy cosmetics in the game, and then when F1 2021 comes out next year, just ditch all the money that I've put into F1 2020 and do the same again in 2021. I'm not about that. I'm not a fan of that at all, guys. Now, if I have to pay full price for a game, that is the only money that I expect to pay. Now, obviously, this is only cosmetic items, so you don't have to spend any money. But even the fact that it's trying to get you to spend more money after you've bought the full price game, that's pretty shady, and I don't like that at all. That is literally the only fault I can really pick apart with this game. Now to move over to my final thoughts, F1 2020 is easily the best in the series, with a complete overhaul of some aspects of the game, a big focus on accessibility, and the new fantastic My Team mode. Codemasters have gone all out to try and keep the series fresh for veteran players, while being very accessible for newbies to jump on and see what the F1 series of games is all about. The game looks fantastic, it plays great, and I really like the level of depth and customization in the game. And overall, I'm very hard pressed to pick faults with the game apart from the microtransactions. So if you're an F1 or racing fan, there is no reason not to check out this game. Now moving over to the scores, every game that I review I like to give a score out of 10 based on different features. I go for the graphics, the gameplay, the features of the game, the story mode or the single player aspect of the game, and the multiplayer, and then also break down some of the good and bad points as well. So for the graphics first, I'm going to give it an 8.9 out of 10 because overall this game looks absolutely fantastic. Maybe not the best looking racing game of all time, but it's definitely up there. There's literally nothing wrong with the graphics of this game. So yeah, an 8.9 is truly well deserved. Now moving over to the gameplay, I've given this one a 9.2 out of 10. The gameplay is so smooth, the cars are responsive, everything just feels so good. I imagine it'd even be better if you play it with an actual steering wheel. I'm not playing with one because I'm not a hardcore racing fan, so I don't own one. But I imagine if you are playing the wheel, then I imagine this game becomes a whole different beast and it would be super awesome. But in addition to just sort of driving the cars, the customization is amazing. The depth in this game is absolutely astonishing. And yeah, I've got absolutely zero complaints to say about that. Now for the features, once again, for all the customization, the depth of the game, all the different stuff you can do, from the time trials, the Grand Prix, the career, the My Team mode, the multiplayer, the esports, everything about this game. There's so much jam-packed in this game that I have to give this one a 9 out of 10, and it is one of the most deserving scores. I could have gave it a higher, but I think the microtransaction aspect of the game definitely knocked it down. If the microtransactions, the item shop, the podium pass, if they weren't in the game, then that would have got a solid 10 without a doubt. Now for the career, I've gave it a 9.2 out of 10. Like I said, it's got essentially two career modes. It's got the 10-year career mode already, and then it's got the My Team mode, which is another 10-year career mode, but with so much more customization, depth to it. The fact that you pretty much start a team from scratch and you handle every single aspect of it, from sponsorships to contracts, to getting new teammates, to researching parts for your cars, to working with different brands to build the best car possible. This is like a sim racing fan's dream come true when it comes to a career aspect of a game. So yeah, 9.2 for this. It is truly one of the best career modes I've ever seen in a video game. Not just a racing game, a video game. This is absolutely fantastic. Now for the multiplayer aspect, I've gave it an 8.7 only because it's not something that I'm going to spend a lot of time in personally, but what I have seen of it looks absolutely fantastic. I've got no faults with it at all. It's got a great multiplayer aspect. It's got ranked, it's got unranked, it's got tournaments, it's got leagues, it's got esports. If you're into sim racing, this is everything you are going to need. Now moving on to the good points, the graphics look fantastic, there's a huge level of depth, it's very accessible to new players, and My Team mode is a fantastic addition to the game. Now for the bad points, the only bad point that I had about this game is that I am not a fan of the season pass and item shops in full price yearly release titles. Apart from that, I've got nothing negative to say about this game. So overall that gives a total average score of 9 out of 10, and in my opinion that is truly deserved. This is a fantastic game, and if you like racing games, definitely go and check this one out. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is my review of F1 2020. What did you guys think? Have you played the game? Do you like F1? Do you like racing games? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video today and want to see more reviews like this on the channel, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Also subscribe with those notifications on. And once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Codemasters for sending me a copy of this game early so I could play it before it was released, so I could review it for you guys. But I also want to point out they didn't pay me to make this review, and any points about this game, good or bad, are my own opinions and they're not influenced by Codemasters in any way. Just want to sort of put that one out there in case people think the praise I'm giving this game is because Codemasters gave me the game or paid me. They didn't pay me, I was free to say what I want about the game, and this game is fantastic if you're a racing fan. So yeah, that is my honest opinion of it. But if you want to check out any of the reviews that I've done on the channel, there'll be a playlist in the description box and on screen at the end of this video, so make sure you go and check that out. My name is Doodles, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.